The dresser shown in this video was inspired by a dress that I saw on my Facebook feed, and I thought it would make a really beautiful dresser. And I knew I could make it happen with IOD Products, DIY paint, and Jamie Ray vintage stencils. Hi, I'm Debbie with Elsie Lane Boutique. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I hope that you enjoy yourself. I hope that you learn something. Whoa. I hope that you learn something, and tell me where you're watching from down in the comments. Everything that I'm using today, I'll have links to it all in the description box. And if you enjoyed the video, I would love it if you would subscribe and, you know, do all the things. Click the like button. Just say hi. Say hi to me. Anyway, thanks. And here we go. The base coat I used on this was DIY Apothecary, and I also used Salt Wash Texture, but apparently I forgot to film the texture part of it because I can't find it. But you basically just pounce it on with your base coat wherever you want texture to happen. I did mix it to be kind of thicker than a cake batter consistency. I have another video in my playlist where I use salt wash, so if you want to know how to use salt wash, you can go find that video. I'll link it down below in the description. I get my inspiration a lot from other pieces of furniture, but a lot from clothes. And I saw this really beautiful dress pop up on my feed, and it was on Pinterest, it was on Facebook, it was everywhere, and I loved it. And I was like, oh, I love that dress. I definitely could make a dresser look like that dress. Maybe I'll buy the dress too. Just maybe it'd be cute to have the dress next to the dresser, even though the dress came after I sold the dresser. Then I mixed some Monet's Garden and some blue iris together to create a deeper blue to blend over the Apothecary. In some parts I took a damp cloth to wipe some of the darker blue off, but I did have my spray bottle handy, and I just played and painted and sprayed until I liked it. And I did decide to do a little darker around the edges, which is kind of what I wanted. Here I added some blue iris with some black velvet just to darken around the edges a little bit more. It's like got this weird fleece inside, and if the material were all this, I would love it. I would have loved it. So whoever made this, just know, if you see this video, you should have just gone with this material. You'd sell more of them. I don't know what this rayon stuff is all about. I'm just using a blending brush here and a spray bottle. By the time you see this, I'll probably have Debi's new paintbrushes in stock. I have them on my website right now for pre-order, and they're super pretty. I think they're going to make blending really fun too, because they're very soft. I didn't like the dress. I tried it on and it just didn't look good. It looked bad. And it's just like this weird material. But it does kind of look like my dresser. I definitely think my dresser's cuter, but it has a hood. I'm a sucker for a hood. I was trying to copy the dress as much as possible, so I did put a stripe down the front on one side of the dresser, just like the dress had. Here I'm using Crinoline for that. I'm kind of just dry brushing it on because I want it to look sort of faded. By dry brushing, I mean you just use very little paint and you just sort of lightly brush it on so that it kind of just lays on the top and gives it a lot of texture. You just don't use very much paint. Then I took some Monet's Garden and watered it down to make a wash. and did sort of a little wash over the whole dresser because I just thought it was too blue. I wanted it a little bit greener like the dress. DIY paint has so much pigment in it that you can really water down the paint a lot and get that kind of washed out look that you want. Here I'm using one of the JRV stencils that I carry on my website in the shop also, and it's called Damask, and these stencils are really thick and nice, and you can dry brush your stencils on, just kind of wipe off your paintbrush so that it doesn't have too much paint on it, and sort of dry brush it on so that it doesn't bleed through the stencil. I kind of didn't care how perfect it looked, so I wasn't really worried about taping it down or anything, and I was just randomly doing a little design with the stencil. I didn't really want it to look perfect. The colors that I'm using for the stenciling is DIY Bead Board, and then for the black that I'm going to be using next, I used Black Velvet. And you can take these stencils and just kind of move them around to make cool different patterns. That's what I love about this one so much, is you can really do so many different patterns with it. It's kind of fun. I'm using a stiff stencil brush. I do have them on my website. Jamie Ray Vintage sells them. So I've got them on my website. I have them in the shop. They really do work really well for stenciling. And you can tell by this one I use it a lot. Well, then I decided since I was about done, I was going to sand back where the salt wash is to show the texture underneath that's peeking through with the apothecary color. I started with the sandpaper, but it was on so good that I thought I'm never going to get this finished. So I grabbed my electric sander and threw on some 220 grit, and literally took about 10 minutes to do the whole thing with the electric sander. But look how beautiful that texture is. Then I sealed the whole thing with DIY's Big Top so that I could put the Dark and Decrepit on. Here I am adding the Dark and Decrepit Glaze, which is my favorite product that DIY carries. I love this stuff. It's a dark brown patina glaze that seeps into the cracks and crevices, and I just really love it. You can paint it on with a paintbrush, or you can use a baby wipe or a soft damp cloth. I use a paintbrush, and then if I get too much on it, I will go back over it with a damp cloth or a baby wipe. Dark and Decrepit is also a sealer, so it can be your last step. So if you're putting it on over the top of the Big Top or the liquid patina, you don't have to do anything else. It can be done. It also makes a really, really great stain for raw wood. I just really can't say enough about this product. I just love it. And you can also see I'm doing what I usually do, is just start around the corners, blend it down, blend it in, spray it a little bit with water until you get the exact right color that you want. And like I said before, because I put the Big Top down first, which is clear, it will make the Dark and Decrepit lay on the top, and you'll have more working time with it. So what that means is when you are putting it on, if you get it on too thick, you can easily wipe it back with a damp cloth. Now here I'm just adding another couple of stripes on the other side of the dresser. These are going to be skinnier stripes, and then I'm going to paint little flowers over the top of them. I think this is Bead Board. It's either Bead Board or Crinoline, I can't remember, but I feel like it's Bead Board. And then I just randomly painted a few little flowers on it. I didn't care if they weren't perfect because it's kind of just a background for the decor transfers. that I'm planning on adding to it. I just think it gives it just a little bit more character. This part was kind of fun. I'm really not that great of a flower painter, but these were just super simple little flowers. I think I used some acrylic paints on this. I know I used some Petticoat Pink, but I also used some Bead Board and Black Velvet too. But the green was acrylic paint. And same with the darker pinks. I found a few scraps from a Prim and Trim transfer. These are discontinued. I'm really sad about that because I really loved them. But I put those around the bottom, and then I took some flowers that I had left over from a project that I did from the IOD Wander transfer, which has really cute flowers on it, and they look perfect on this dresser. They look like they just belong there. Once I was finished, I just sealed the whole thing with DIY Big Top, and it was done. I have a link down in my description box to my website so you can get all of these products. I have about 1,000 items there, so you definitely can find something fun that would inspire you to create a cool piece for yourself. And if you're in the Spokane area, I would love it if you would swing by my shop. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Leave it and subscribe over the... Wait, what?
Say it again. Do it again. It's okay.
Do another scrape for the left, and then leave a thumbs up.